In the silent depths of the Pacific during World War II, one American submarine carved its name into history with a ferocity that rivaled even the most celebrated warships of the era. The USS Wahoo, a Godot-class submarine of the United States Navy, became a legend not just because of the ships it sent to the ocean floor, but because of the men who crewed her, and the daring spirit of her commander, Lieutenant Commander Dudley, Mush, Morton. Wahoo's story is one of bold strikes, revolutionary tactics, and ultimate sacrifice in one of the most dangerous theaters of naval warfare. Commissioned in May of 1942, the USS Wahoo entered service at a time when the United States was reeling from the attack on Pearl Harbor and desperate to gain the upper hand in the Pacific. She was built in Groton, Connecticut, at the Electric Boat Company, and was one of the early models of the fleet submarines that would become the workhorses of America's undersea war against Japan. At first, Wahoo's missions were relatively uneventful. Her early patrols, under her original commanding officer, saw limited success. But everything changed in January 1943, when a brash, confident, and aggressive officer named Dudley Morton took command. Morton had ideas that challenged traditional submarine tactics. He believed in aggressive surface attacks, in firing multiple torpedoes at once, and in taking the fight directly to the Japanese. He wanted the enemy to fear the very name Wahoo. On her third war patrol, with Morton at the helm and Richard O'Kane, later a legendary skipper himself, serving as executive officer, Wahoo began a remarkable run. In January 1943, in the waters off New Guinea, Morton began his campaign of destruction. He sank 4 Japanese ships in just a few days, including a troop transport whose survivors he famously fired upon, believing they were combatants returning fire. This controversial decision would shadow Morton's legacy, but at the time, his actions were praised by military leadership eager for aggressive results. The submarine war in the Pacific was unique in that American subs operated largely alone, often far from support, in waters teeming with enemy ships and aircraft. Japanese anti-submarine tactics were deadly, and depth charge attacks could last for hours. Wahoo's crew endured these attacks repeatedly, often escaping by a margin measured in meters. Life aboard a submarine was a mix of tension and boredom, with every moment on patrol carrying the threat of sudden death. Yet under Morton, Wahoo's crew was inspired. They knew they were part of something different. On her 4th patrol, Wahoo penetrated deep into the Yellow Sea, one of the most heavily guarded areas in Japanese-controlled waters. This area was considered a no-go zone by many American subs, but not for Morton. Between March and April of 1943, Wahoo sank multiple ships, including tankers and cargo vessels that were vital to Japan's war effort. Morton's detailed patrol reports, full of first-hand observations, bold maneuvers, and tactical innovations, were studied by submarine commanders across the fleet. Wahoo was doing more than sinking ships, she was rewriting the playbook. Perhaps Wahoo's most daring achievement came during her 5th war patrol in July 1943. She again returned to the Yellow Sea and went on an unprecedented rampage. Morton and his crew sank more than 30,000 tons of enemy shipping, including passenger ships, freighters, and even a naval transport. This was among the most successful submarine patrols of the war, and for a time, Wahoo was the most famous submarine in the U.S. Navy. Newspapers ran stories about her daring exploits, and Morton became a national hero. Yet the sea is an unforgiving battlefield, and even the best submarines have only so many lucky escapes. In October 1943, Wahoo departed on her 7th war patrol. Her mission? To return once more to the Yellow Sea. Morton's confidence remained unshaken. He had requested and received permission to operate again in the area most feared by submarine commanders. What happened next would remain a mystery for decades. Wahoo was last seen on October 11, 1943, near La Perouse Strait between Hokkaido and Sakhalin. Japanese records later confirmed she had been attacked by aircraft and subjected to a massive depth charge barrage by Japanese naval forces. All hands were lost. Morton, O'Kane's replacement as executive officer, and the entire crew of Wahoo went down with the ship. She was officially declared overdue and presumed lost. The disappearance of the USS Wahoo was a blow not just to the submarine force, but to the entire Navy. She had sunk more than 20 enemy ships totaling over 60,000 tons, a record at that point in the war. Morton's aggressive tactics had transformed submarine warfare, pushing others to adopt similar methods. His loss was deeply felt by those who had served with him and admired his fearless approach. For decades, the final resting place of the Wahoo remained unknown. Families waited, veterans remembered, and historians speculated. It wasn't until 2006 that a breakthrough came. A team of Russian divers, using historical research and modern sonar, located a wreck in the Leperau Strait. Positive identification followed. The wreck lay on the seabed, silent and broken but unmistakable. The USS Wahoo had been found. Today, the site of the wreck is considered a war grave. It remains undisturbed, a solemn tribute to the brave souls who perished aboard her. In the annals of submarine history, the Wahoo stands as a symbol of boldness, innovation, and sacrifice. She fought in a war where submarines played a crucial but often overlooked role, destroying Japanese shipping and strangling their ability to wage war. In many ways, submarines like Wahoo helped turn the tide of the Pacific War. But more than statistics and strategies, Wahoo's story is about people, about Morton, whose leadership changed naval tactics, about the crew who followed him into the most dangerous waters in the Pacific, and about the families who waited, hoped, and eventually mourned. The USS Wahoo is not just a chapter in military history. She is a legend, a steel predator of the deep that inspired fear in the enemy and pride in her country. Her story echoes across time, a reminder of what courage, innovation, and sacrifice can accomplish in the darkest hours of war.